The Philadelphia Eagles have made their choice. The franchise's new offensive coordinator is Sean Mannion. Yes, it's official. At 33 years old, the former NFL quarterback, who not long ago was still on an active roster as a player, now takes over one of the most important seats in the entire organization, the command of the Eagles' offense. The decision ends weeks of speculation, interviews, rumors, leaks, and expectations. And unlike other recent hires, this isn't just another name added to the coaching staff. This is a structural bet, a choice that says a lot about the type of offensive identity the Eagles want to build from this point forward. Nick Sirianni didn't hide his enthusiasm. In his official statement, he made it clear that the process was long, open, and thorough, and that Sean Mannion stood out not only for his technical knowledge, but for his systemic view of offensive football, his strategic approach, and his maturity inside the NFL. He highlighted Manion's 11 years of experience in the league, learning and growing alongside some of the best coaches and systems in football. But the most important detail came right after that. According to The Athletic, Manion will be the one calling the plays. In other words, he is not a symbolic coordinator. He is not a decorative name. He will, in fact, be the brain of the offense on the field. And this is where this hire starts to take on a completely different dimension. Because when you look at Manion's background, you don't just see a former quarterback who became a coach. You see someone who began his coaching career inside one of the most respected structures in the modern NFL. In Green Bay, he was directly connected to the development of Jordan Love, who finished the 2025 season with a passer rating of 101.2, one of the best numbers in the league. More than that, Malik Willis, as a backup, was also prepared to step in and execute the system without a major drop in performance. That doesn't happen by accident. That comes from preparation, game understanding, and mental construction of the quarterback position. Manion is a quarterback coach by essence. By formation, by experience, by language, by the way he sees the game. And that matters a lot for the current moment of the Philadelphia Eagles. Because the offense didn't fail only because of play calling. It didn't fail only because of scheme. It didn't fail only because of execution. It failed because of identity, because of flow, because of connection between pieces, because of lack of real-time adaptation, because of difficulty reading critical situations. Bringing in an offensive coordinator who thinks the game from the quarterback's mind changes the entire foundation of the system. And that takes us directly to the most important name in this equation, Jalen Hurts. Sean Mannion, having been an NFL quarterback himself, speaks the same language. He understands pressure. He understands pocket protection. He understands progression reads. He understands the mental weight of the position. And that creates a completely different relationship between coordinator and quarterback. This isn't just about designing plays. It's about decision-making, about confidence, about rhythm, about mental structure inside the game. This hire is not about a new playbook. It's about a different way of thinking offense, and that's a point many people still haven't fully realized. Another factor that stands out is the speed of Manion's rise as a coach. He started his coaching career in 2023. In a very short time, he was already in a direct quarterback development role, being credited internally as one of the most prepared offensive minds on Green Bay's staff. When his name began circulating as a candidate for the Eagles job, something interesting happened. People started talking. Former teammates, league personnel, people behind the scenes, Packers fans, and almost all of them repeated the same pattern. Intelligence, preparation, game vision, readiness for this kind of opportunity in Philadelphia. Anthony DeBona from the Philly Special brought important behind-the-scenes insight, showing that the internal perception of Manion is that he is a rapidly rising coach, someone viewed as a future head coach candidate, not just an offensive coordinator. Even Packers fans started saying something revealing, that they would rather keep Manion as offensive coordinator than the coach who came after him in the hierarchy. That says a lot about the respect he built in a short time. For Eagles fans, this completely changes how this hire should be viewed. This is not a desperate move. It's not a random name. It's not improvisation. It's a clear profile. Young, cerebral, technical, system-oriented, quarterback development-driven, with recent direct success in player development. And that connects directly to what Nick Sirianni said. He was looking for the right fit, not the biggest name, not the longest resume. Now, of course, there is the other side. Manion has never been an offensive coordinator before. He has never called plays at the professional level as an OC. He has never led an entire offensive structure as the primary decision maker. There is risk. There is a learning curve. There is pressure. There is adaptation. But there is also something the Eagles are clearly pursuing: a break from the old model. After the offensive collapse of last season, the franchise needed more than a personnel change. It needed a logic change, a philosophy shift, a different way of thinking offense, a different mental foundation for the system. Sean Mannion represents exactly that: a more cerebral offense, more adaptive, more red-based, more decision-driven, less rigid, less predictable, less trapped in scripted football. And this may be the most important thing for fans to understand. This hire is not about hype. It's about architecture. It's about building an offense that works in the real world of the modern NFL, where defenses change coverage post-snap, where pressure comes disguised, where fast processing matters more than arm strength, where mental structure matters as much as physical talent. There is also a silent but extremely important factor: internal culture. Coordinators shape habits, language, routines, preparation methods, study processes, and communication inside the locker room. They don't just draw plays, they shape behavior. And the arrival of a coach with a technical, methodical, developmental profile changes the daily environment in meetings, practices, adjustments, and weekly preparation. That impacts young players, backup quarterbacks, receivers, the offensive line, and even the defense, because it raises the competitive standard in practice. A smarter system creates smarter competition. A more organized offense elevates the overall level of the team. Will it work? No one can guarantee that. But the signal is clear. The Eagles chose not to repeat old formulas. They chose not to chase a market headline name. They chose not to follow the obvious path. They chose someone who represents a change in logic. And that alone already changes the entire outlook for 2026. Because now the Eagles' offense will no longer be defined only by roster talent. It will be defined by reading, structure, system, and development. Sean Mannion does not arrive as a media star. He arrives as an architect. And in the NFL, very often, it is exactly these names that transform franchises the most. Quietly, without headlines, without spectacle, without exaggerated hype. Fans may take time to feel it in numbers. It may take time to see it in statistics. It may take time to notice it on scoreboards. But what was decided here is not just a position being filled. It is a new way of thinking about the Philadelphia Eagles offense. And that, yes, changes everything.